Welcome back to another amazing episode of the FitBit Journey podcast. If you're one of those gym owners who is wondering how much money you have coming in each month, how much your clients are paying, who owes you how much money, who have sessions left, or who has an active subscription, or who is paid for the online coaching program. If you have any of those questions and you don't know the answer, FitDegree might be the solution for you. And that is just one small piece of the puzzle, what they really do for you. My number one thing that I really love about them is that they are a community-based company. They will be actually there for you and care and also listen all your problems, and they are going to help you fix it. Guys, we are finally back for an in-person interview in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida. And this time we are here with Michael Scott Novilla, who is a best-selling author and the owner of Nova 535, which is a unique event space in downtown St. Petersburg, and is also the best wedding venue in this area. On top of that, Michael Scott Novilla is also the host of the Entrepreneur Social Club that is celebrating about 10 years of life now. And I'm super excited because I've been going through the Entrepreneur Social Club and I have learned so much from it. And I have hired almost everyone from there for business, from attorneys, accountants, bookkeepers, you name it, graphic designers, everything. We have it from that group. It's an amazing organization group, and Michael created this out of his heart for entrepreneurs and helping and growing the community around. And I'm super happy to have Michael Scott Novilla on our podcast because I know he's not a gym owner, but the life experience, the travel experience, the business experience, and everything he has to offer is going to give you the experience that you also need to run your business successfully. So without further ado, let's get this podcast started right now.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me. Daniel is my good friend from the Entrepreneur Social Club, where we met maybe 4 or 5 years ago now?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe longer?
Yeah, it seems 6 even, yeah.
Yeah, time starts to dilate.
Yeah.
So we're here today in my historic venue, Nova 535. And it's an interesting story how we got here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Actually what I'll do, because I just wrote a book, it's called It's 5 a.m. Go Home. And I'm gonna read just the first page because it is an excellent summary of the tale, and speaking fairy tale, in fact, of how we got here. So,
before you get started, I just want to say also to the audience that because the Entrepreneur Social Club, just so they know, that the Entrepreneur Social Club actually is a pretty amazing event that I come to, and that's where we first met, right?
That's
originally?
Right. That's right.
So the Entrepreneur Social Club is literally this venue where we are, which is, how big is this, by the way?
Nova itself is, in terms of square feet, 7,000 square feet inside and another 4,000 outside. In terms of guest count, we can do about 400 in and another 200 outside. So it's pretty big, but it feels more, homey and intimate. And
you had like amazing guests here, like constantly, and from selling cars to everything here at this
everything,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought this up, guys, we're gonna talk about it more in a second, but the Entrepreneur Social Club is a really cool thing that you started like, what, 10 years ago now?
2009. We opened Nova, which you'll find out in a second, in 2008. Mm-hmm. And then I realized I needed to be around other entrepreneurs, meet people like you. And so in 2009, and it's been every Thursday night since 2009, so a long time.
And that's amazing. So every single Thursday night, there is an Entrepreneur Social Club every single week. And I came to so many, and why I wanted to bring this up, because that's some dedication that you actually put in to make that happen.
It's crazy.
And it's almost like picture Shark Tank in a way that sometimes it gets heated, some people leave, but it's all about because the thing is, what I really like about it, that there is no fakiness. So people get called out on a bad business card. If you put your picture on it and smile and you have nothing to do with pictures or your face or whatever, you might get called out on it, but not because to pick on you, to help you.
That's right.
And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast as well.
Yeah, it's like big brothers and sisters, really. I mean, our rules are no religion, no politics. Mm-hmm. And but otherwise it's 18 up. And as Daniel said, we want you to know up front. We'll tell you, your business card's terrible. It's terrible. But here's exactly how to fix it. Here's the people who can help you fix it. And that way we help each other grow. A lot of people, they'll do fine in business. Some people definitely should not be in business. And we want to catch it early on, right up front, and help you with these problems, right away. And, Daniel was and still is a fantastic student. He lives and breathes continuous improvement. So for him and myself, it's always, what can I do to improve myself? New information comes in. Is it relevant to me? Does it help me? Yes. Immediately you make the change. You make yourself grow and become better. So, yeah.
Yes. So guys, thank you.
Every Thursday night, 6 to 8 o'clock. It's called EntrepreneurSocialClub.com.
You need to check it out, especially if you're local or in the Tampa Bay area at all whatsoever. You need to come to it. There are people who are driving from Sarasota too. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Take over because I just wanted to share it with everybody because I think it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you. So again, this will kind of help tie the whole thing together. But it's my book I wrote. It's 5 a.m. Go home. And again, I'm Michael Scott Novilla. So hey, I'm Globetrotting entrepreneur Michael Scott Novilla, back home to St. Pete, Florida, after 416 days of traveling around the globe, literally around the globe. So no, it's not flat. It has beautiful curves, like my parents' DNA. Their DNA, blended with my own wide range of experiences, made me into the eccentric kind of guy I am today. Speaking of that, one of our Halloween parties that'll come into play later, Novaween. From puffing my first terribly rolled J at age 11 to Kung Fu training with the Shaolin monks in China, I find myself choosing those paths less traveled. Well, those paths converged on a sidewalk in 2005 with me standing in front of a turn-of-the-century structure, what we're in now, and then not so beautiful downtown St. Petersburg. A dog kennel with a for sale sign in the window. Truthfully and literally, it was a shithole. I walked away at first thinking it was too crazy even for me. Later, I thought about the fact that my hometown lacked a quality venue where folks could gather to cultivate friendships and celebrate important milestones in their lives. I gathered up my savings and borrowed the rest. It was a $3 million total investment, and jumped headfirst into a unique vision of what this building was destined to become. A wonderful place for our community to gather and to throw epic parties. Wow. So this was 2005. I was shopping for what I was considering art gallery meets lounge meets event space, okay? And I had been doing apartments for about 20 years up until the point, buying historic buildings, renovating them, and then leasing them out. But after 15 years or so, it got boring. So started traveling the world a little bit. Really enjoyed art galleries. Loved going to lounges and partying and having a good time. But I wanted to take those two and combine it with a venue, an event space. And as I said, St. Pete really didn't have an interesting, unique event space. Ballrooms like the Vinoy and the Dawn, or beachfront hotels, but there wasn't this unique blend of world-class space with raw, open, and build it any way you want. So this was a dog kennel, and I laugh when you brought Lizzie in today. She feels at home here. You even mentioned something about if you pet her the wrong way or something, she'll pee. This was, when you walked in, it was literally full of dogs, and chain link fence. I mean, it was a shithole. It was terrible. And so it took us 3 years, and as I said, $3 million, ripped everything out, and turned it into a combination art gallery, lounge, and event space.
So guys, Michael is super amazing about his company in a way that his company can run from anywhere in the world. Even though he owns a brick and mortar, just like you own a gym, he can be absent for a whole year. And he was. He traveled the world into hundreds of countries in the whole world, all over the world, and he did not even come back for what I think it was like 9 months or something. Let's find out exactly how Michael did that, because that's ultimately the goal. At least that's what every personal trainer and gym owner that I talk to have told me, that their goal is to able to have a business that runs by itself. If that's what you want, Michael might just have the answer to you.
So in 2008, I decided to go on a trip. That was the year I was going to turn 50 years old. And not that I'm having a midlife crisis, but you know, it's like business was going well. We spent a lot of time, we talked about it in the Entrepreneur Social Club, digitizing things, automating things. And so I was going to see the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas in January. And from there I decided to go out to Hawaii, Taiwan, and then I went all the way around the globe. So it was a 416-day trip.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that? So the reason why I wanted to bring this up because
Yeah.
many of our audience and the business owners that are listening and watching cannot even take off a day, or at least they feel like I can't take off a day or week from my business and walk away. And you have accomplished something that you can actually do that. And that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Really, it's setting up systems. I mean, all day, what do? We go to work and we go to a desk and we open up our laptop or our desktop and we do this, okay?
Yeah.
So your ass can be anywhere in the world as long as you have your desktop and your focus. So I would say it's not where your ass is where your focus is.
Exactly.
And we built the systems here at Nova so we can pay online, hire online, all of our event planning is online. So we digitized everything.
So how does Michael Scott Novilla, who was never married in his life, becomes the #1 wedding venue? Let's find out. Just walk us through it real quick. So you got the space. It was, you said 2005?
2005, it was running as Pet Planet. So it was a dog kennel. There was multiple drop ceilings in here, broken terrazzo floor, stunk like piss and shit, dogs barking. It was chain link fence. And in the back, they would wash and groom the dogs. Outside was a shale parking lot and a homeless guy living out there. And upstairs was a tiny little apartment that was disgusting. So we ripped everything out from 2005 to 2008.
And then what happened in 2008?
We opened, and I opened as an art lounge. So here I am. I'm going to do this art gallery meets lounge meets event space. We had a big 1,200 person opening night. We called it a red carpet opening. Art on the walls, and fabulous night, big party. And then we got into the business of events. Well, here I am. I was in my 40s at the time, still single now, never been married. And I realized, oh shit, we got to do weddings. I don't know anything about weddings. I don't know anything about weddings. I mean, I didn't like going to them as a kid, young man. I always tried to avoid them. But now 1/3 of our business is going to be weddings. So we had to create a system, and we call it the Nova Way, of how to go step by step by step, plan it and execute it without really any mistakes. I mean, there's always something that's going to happen, but there's no do-overs. It's like being a comedian live. It's like being a boxer or being a live event planner. Like, it's live, there's no do-over. The bride's there, somebody falls down, something's broken, and you got to make everything as perfect, as possible. So we developed a digital system so people could plan, people could see what's going on, we could schedule people, we could pay people, and we organized it all together. Chris Jenkins and Nick Mazika helped build it. Chris on the tech side, Nick on the development side, and we put it together into My Nova event. And so clients and vendors have access to that. So it's all on their phone, no paper, better for the environment, and I can manage and track it from anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. Which allows you to travel the world while the business is working,
Yeah.
like clockwork. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then, so how a person like you, who never been married, just like you said, gets into the business of wedding? Did it just overnight because it was an open market and you're like, all right, I'm going to go for it? And by the way, not only he got into that business, he actually became the #1 wedding venue of our area, which is a big deal.
Yeah, here in Tampa Bay. It was really because we're an event space. So my best friend, Drew Edwards, who is also my mentor, kept saying, Mike, weddings, you're not an art lounge. Nobody knows what the fucking art lounge is. It was my dream to open this art lounge. But again, nobody knows what that is, and I talk about this at Entrepreneur Social Club. So we pivoted and went to a unique event space. Everybody knows what an event space is. Everybody knows what a banquet hall is. So we went from art lounge to event space, and we threw in the unique. So Nova 535, unique event space. Very clear of what it is. And it turned out that 1/3 of how we're going to survive was weddings.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that story because you would never expect that. That's what you go in when you start this. Yeah.
You don't know. And that's part of why I do the Entrepreneur Social Club, because if someone would have told me, along the way, it's like, Mike, Art Lounge is great, you can have art up, but you're only going to pay your bills and make your money and survive as an event space. So be an event space from the beginning. We spent $7,000 on a beautiful neon sign. It says Art Lounge, different colors. It's still up there now 12 years later, as a reminder that, listen to your mentors.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And then, so what would you tell anyone who is listening right now or watching us? Well, I guess I have many questions, but just to start, if somebody would want to start right now a brick and mortar business, do you have any giveaway for them to do?
I've been trying to talk people out of brick and mortar. I love real estate. I'm a real estate guy. I still dream of building a skyscraper. I spent 20 years, as we talked about a little bit, building a 100 apartment community right up the road called Crescent Lake Apartments. But right during 2008, 2009 is when we were opening Nova, and I overextended myself a little bit, and that's right when the crash happened. So the banks pulled all the lines of credit, the final loan, all that disappeared, so I had to sell the mother. So I lost a 20-year business, lost millions of dollars, and was able to save Nova. This is 08, 09, 010, and grow into the successful business today. So now I really try to talk people out of brick and mortar for the most part. Some places, gyms, event spaces, weddings, hotels, restaurants, that's brick and mortar. You have to have that. But a lot of people's businesses, you really don't need brick and mortar. You can lease it at a much cheaper rate than you can to, buy it and manage it and run it and own it.
Yeah, 100% right. And especially in New York City, I always think about this and what you said, because
so expensive.
And there's so many clothing stores, on the street that you don't need to be there. You can just run it online and drop in ships, and there's so many ways to do that. It's just crazy. Yeah.
And it seems that a lot of the younger people now at 52, I guess I can say that, that are figuring that out. But really, we try to really talk people into sharing existing spaces, leasing existing spaces, but as Drew calls it, loose and liquid. Try to keep yourself from being tied to. I mean, this is great. It's an appreciating asset, and real estate is fantastic. But at the same time, when black swans happen, like COVID that we're in the middle of now, and we have to be closed or forced closed for a period, you're stuck. So digital online is really the way to go if you can.
And then you mentioned Black Swan, especially the book. You have read it, obviously. Did that change how you think about business, or?
It does. The first Black Swan, because my first business was apartments, as I mentioned, and bought one, lived in it, learned everything about wiring and plumbing and electric and fixing things, and then bought another one and started growing that. Took my savings and bought this building. So $500,000 to buy this. Of course, I could have got a loan and left the money in the bank, but you pay fees, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in junk fees. So I said, let me do this, save some money. Well, right then is when Black Swan #1 in my life, the great crash in 2008, that collapsed. So banks, if you don't know this, they can pull your loan at any time. If you have a $10,000 credit card, if you owe $5,000, that $5,000 can disappear like that. So that's what happened to us. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of credit went away. We had to scramble to, keep Nova, sell the other one. And so now this is, in COVID, sadly, this is our second Black Swan.
Yeah.
So this one is, a virus that is causing, people to panic, whatever you think about the politics and rabbit holes of that part. It's, for us, we're an event space and we're forced closed. So now we're having to deal with how do you react to this now second Black Swan. So it's by Talib, I forget his last name, you can look it up. It's Black Swan, not the sexy movie with the girls kissing. That's very different. But hopefully this is the last one, though it's probably not. So.
Yeah. I agree with what you said, all of it. So, and unfortunately, I don't think it's the last one either.
Yeah.
But especially, guys, if you're listening and watching, and I know we have been trying to talk about it a lot, But yeah, what you said about the credit, it happened to us too. So it can happen anytime. So if you have that right now, and you have $10,000 and you own 5 and there's 5 open, that might be gone tomorrow. That's just right. Because the banks are freaking out, especially about the gyms, the restaurants, and all these retail, because they are getting really tight.
Yeah. It's sad. And so at that point, I was relying on credit because we were growing, and to buy real estate is very expensive. Yep. So we were spending a lot of money renovating the apartments, making them very nice, because we didn't want the management in and out. We wanted to spend the money, finance it out, and have lower management. Lower management costs. We're kind of the opposite of a slumlord, and the model was working great. But imagine you're a DJ, you go to play and the lights go out. You can't sing, so that's what happened to us. So now this business, other than the mortgage on the building that we don't have any credit cards. There's no debt. It's all cash. So we're going slower but more sustainably. So it's like better for your financial environment. I don't have to make any payments to anybody. We're paid in full, and it's a better feeling.
And you're in control.
Yeah, and I'm in control, right?
Which is the number one here that most people don't feel, especially nowadays. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I wanted to also bring up that with the Entrepreneur Social Club too, because I think that's a huge help to the community. I mean, ourselves, from a photographer to a graphic designer to accountant, bookkeeper, attorney, all of that I mentioned is all from here, from the Entrepreneur Social Club, and we still have them today. So here's the thing. Even if you're hurting right now, you may even lose the business. Just know one thing, that what you have learned will stay right here and nobody can take it away from you. So you can start over with all the experience and everything that you have learned and create something better and faster. So give you one example. Michael even left the country and went to communist Vietnam to create the Entrepreneur Social Club there. So let's hear a little bit more about it, because when I heard that, I was like, what?
So I'm in communist Vietnam, in Hanoi, and I was like, the people are so sweet, very hardworking, very smart and entrepreneurial. I'm like, why don't I do an Entrepreneur Social Club there? So I did. I got a co-working space and went to a bunch of markets and handed out my card, went to businesses and got their cards and created a mailing and did 6 weeks of, it was very surreal, doing a business club in communist Vietnam.
Yeah, guys, that's also amazing, because that can show you that, let's say, unfortunately, for some reason you have lost what you built right now because of what's going on, the knowledge is still there and you can recreate it. Just like Michael went to Vietnam and you recreated it, what you have did, or well, not Nova, but as far as Entrepreneur Social Club, you did it because you have already know how to do it.
That's right.
Which is awesome.
You learn as you grow. I asked Daniel how long he's been a gym owner now. I think you said 9 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So day one, I walk in here my first party, and I talk about it in my book, It's 5 a.m., Go Home, it's our my Novilla costume from last year, so that's one of the parties we throw. But luckily my first party was good friends, the Hammeroffs, and it was a dinner party upstairs. So I learned a lot about throwing events. And I said to Daniel, I said, your first day as a gym owner and now 9 years later, so it's continuous improvement. Like you learn, you pick up all these little pieces of information, and you're right, when the shit hits the fan, if you have to restart or recreate, that doesn't go away. You have all that, and especially the confidence that comes with it,
Yeah.
You learn to wear a lot of hats.
Yep, you changed already hats. Yeah. So, by the way, your book, if you would have to do a one-line pitch, how would you describe your book and who is it for to read it?
Well, it's a hilarious adventure story. So it's a story. Well, one sentence. Got it. It's a hilarious adventure story of a guy who grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, who's traveled the world, a globetrotting entrepreneur named Michael, who teaches you step by step how to throw a 5-star wedding party or event.
And where can we find your book?
You can find It's 5 a.m. Go Home. Might as well get it. So it looks like this. It's 5 a.m. Go Home, and you can find it at it's5amgohome.com, or you can find it on Amazon, or here locally, support local, Tombolo Books, and of course Haslam's bookstore.
Awesome. So guys, check it out. Highly recommend it. I have my copy and I should have brought it so he could sign it, but I still haven't brought it in.
Good chance to buy another one.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, so what do you think, what's next for Nova and for you?
What's next? Well, we're in this COVID, moving into post-COVID, I guess you would call it, scene. So I think by July 1st, we should be back open at some capacity, hopefully sooner, because we've been closed since the middle of March.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Forced closed, but you know, that's another story for another time. What's next for us? We're going to go back to, of course, we've always been clean, we've always been green, we've always focused on healthy. We do have our bathroom suites, so we're going to focus on keeping things even cleaner and even more sanitized, and making the guests feel more, you know, safe and healthy, I guess. But for me personally, I'm working on two other books. One of them is called World's Favorite Words, and it's an illustrated traveler's guidebook. There's categories of words, and inside that category, there's a favorite. So like inside of food, travelers would need to know the word menu. So what's the favorite way to say menu? It's a French word. We have an illustration, and again, that's called World's Favorite Words. And then the other next thing I'm doing is a book moving more into the digital space. It's 416days.com. So it's about my travels around the world for 416 days.
Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to get that one, because I've been following all your pictures and everything that you constantly post when you're traveling. I'm like, man, that's what we should be doing. I always tell Nina, my wife.
Yeah, and you guys, like Lauren and Daniel, you guys would, I mean, you guys look great and would and are great in person, and so, you know, it's a great way to, you know, like you, we're both stuck in the physical space, but to continue to push into digital, because everybody's staring at a phone. You're probably watching this on a phone. Those are vending machines. That's how content. So.
And it's just getting better. We are so glued to it that they just keep improving it, so we can't get enough of it.
We can't. It's the crack of the 2020s.
True. And then what would be like if you see yourself like 20 years ago, even 30, and you meet one-on-one, what would be like a number one advice you would tell yourself that this is you should do or this is you shouldn't do? Like you have two options, positive or negative, your choice.
Well, I'm always positive and I'm always optimistic. I guess I'll do quickly both. On the negative side, I would say drink less. We partied and had a great time, but you know, I figured it out eventually. But I would have stopped drinking like shots, you know, especially in college. Just a little too much of that, because you just, you know, you act stupid and make a little too many crazy decisions. But it's young and you're fun. On the positive side, I think I would have done more networking. My best friend, Drew Edwards, was always pushing me to network. But in college, I always thought it was cheesy for some reason. Like I was like, I don't want to do that. I just want to go party and have fun. So really networking, making connections, and building connections, whether it's business or friends or both, that's the most powerful social currency you have.
Yeah, and this comes from a guy who actually has Entrepreneur Social Club, guys. So where there is at least 50 people each time when we have an Entrepreneur Social Club. Yeah. Which is crazy. All business owners, so that's...
And it's a lot of fun. You know, it is a chance for us to help each other, be like, you know, older brothers and sisters to each other and tell them the truth. And, you know, so to answer your question, less drinking, more networking, and just really understand that continuous improvement is the key to pretty much everything.
Yeah, with everything. You cannot just stay where you are when you have to improve.
Because the world keeps changing.
Exactly. And so if people want to check out Entrepreneur Social Club and Nova and your book, just can you repeat all three where they could find it?
Yeah. So Nova535.com, that's St. Pete's #1 wedding and event space. It's now in 2020, it's 100 years old. So we're inside one of the oldest venues here.
That's awesome.
In Florida, actually. EntrepreneurSocialClub.com. You can find it on Facebook. I love entrepreneurs, people that are like, hey, I want to join your club. You know, how do I find out more about it? I'm like, just type it into Google, or Facebook, Instagram, and then my book, it's 5amgohome.com.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. But you guys, please check it out, because I guarantee you're gonna get the most out of it if you check out all three, because then you get the full picture of Michael and what we have done in the past years, and then traveling. So, are you planning on resuming traveling?
The plan now was to travel. I'm selling my house. I sold my car in 2008 to force myself to grow. So I haven't had a car since 2008, and now I'm selling my house to go homeless and reducing my footprint down to a bare digital minimum. And so the plan is to travel. I'm not sure where, but I do plan to be here on October 31st. We do a Halloween party at Nova called Novaween. So you go to novaween.com. So if you're in here at Tampa Bay, Daniel comes and has a good time. It's a lot of fun. But in terms of travel, it's been 91 countries now. So I'm not sure, but somewhere and soon. I got the itch.
Yeah, I bet, and lots of people getting the itch now. And now, well, I'm just only worried about the prices. Right now, they're dirt cheap. You can buy a round-trip ticket to Italy for $199.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it's gonna shoot back up if they're not doing something about it pretty soon.
Yeah. So I've been waiting to see how this plays out, but 91 is not the end, and I don't know where's next. It's good. Greenland. I think Greenland's going to be my next, and the South Pole.
Oh,
so,
I would love to do the South Pole as well.
I think those are my next two.
That's awesome. And then what would be one last thing that you would want to tell any entrepreneur that is watching right now? Like, you can tell them anything that you want that could help them or prevent them to do something, a mistake.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur, you're relying on yourself, okay? And so you have to be healthy. And so for me, the foundation of my life is, number one, you need to be your own best friend, okay? Happiness can only come from inside, and so you need to create and manufacture your own happiness, so be your own best friend. Number two is you are what you eat, right? If you're eating like shit, you're gonna feel like shit, you're gonna look like shit, and you're not gonna be healthy, and you're gonna get sick, and you're gonna catch virus. But if you're healthy, all natural, organic, exercise, get sun, you know how to do it. So you are what you eat. And the third is mind over mind, right? Your mind can change your mind. Yep. You can force yourself to grow. You came into the Entrepreneur Social Club, you're like a big sponge. You took all of our information and just, right? So when new information comes out, I used to cook in olive oil. I'm Italian on my dad's side, but then you realize olive oil is good to season with, but cooking with it, it burns, it's not good for you. Switch to coconut oil. Simple example, but powerful. You become a little healthier. So continuous improvement by using your mind and getting out of your own way to continue to grow.
Yeah, that was actually a perfect example. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I hope you guys took notes, because I really think that if you take action on that, it would change your life forever.
Change your whole life.
And you chasing the right things versus the wrong things that way. Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome.
Was awesome. Yeah. There you have it, guys. Michael Scott Novilla. He have done something amazing, and I'm very proud of him, and I'm very happy that he lives in my town where I live, because the Entrepreneur Social Club is the shit. It is really amazing, and not only that, but the event space that he have created has the most amazing parties in town, and also has the most unique events at this space. Nova 535 is one of the best venues that I have been to in this whole area, and I'm not saying that because whatever reason, I'm saying that because it's literally just facts. So I'm just super excited to share it with you guys, and if you're local, definitely check it out. If you're passing by, definitely check it out. And Entrepreneur Social Club every single Thursday for the past 9-10 years have happened and going to happen. So if you're in town, make sure to check it out, because it's going to happen. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you till the next time.